Hey guys, and we are back for the second part of our talk today for I'm calling it the Supplemental Healthy Hair Summit. And we got Joe back. And as you see, Joe's a busy guy. He is like always on the go. If he's not in the salon, he's in his car or he's like somewhere. Where in the world is Joe? But we are so grateful that he does, no matter where he is, he stops and takes the time to speak to us because you know what? Dry hair is not a joke. It's not a joke, and we need to fix that. So, really quickly, welcome and thank you to our Healthy Hair Summit. I am Scarlett, the creator of Wonder Curl and the Healthy Hair Summit. The goal of the summit is to provide you with the facts based around our hair and our culture. It is the only online event of its kind to teach you everything you need to know to grow your healthiest hair ever. And the Healthy Hair Summit is brought to you by Wonder Curl. Wonder Curl was created out of a personal need for natural hair products that simply did what they said, used quality ingredients, and improved on the health of the hair. We are a Black-owned vegan hair care product line that uses natural ingredients known for their nourishing and medicinal properties. Curls and kinks are hydrated for days without the frizz or crunch. And we offer online education through one-on-one consults and virtual hair summits. Healthy hair is good hair, and we give you all the tools to achieve your healthy hair goals. And I just want to shout out to Creatively Naturals for my awesome good hair tea. So we all have good hair, and with the Healthy Hair Summit, it's going to be healthy hair. And so today we are speaking with Joe Miguel Ortiz. And Joe is a Dominican hairstylist who started his career in 2005 when he and his wife purchased the Angels Beauty Salon. Later that same year, Joe Miguel discovered a talent and love for hairstyling and began his journey with cosmetology. Today, Joe is an experienced hairstylist, master colorist, and curl specialist with over 10 years of experience in the industry. He has obtained certifications from the Diva Curl as a curly hair specialist and has also attended the Vidal Sassoon Academy for Intense Color and Cutting Technique class in Chicago, for which he obtained a master colorist certification. Continuing his passion for natural hair, he's dedicated to educating the public and stylists on the care of curly hair. And he is like Edward Scissorhands when it comes to cuts, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So Joe, why do we have dry hair?
Great, thank you, Scarlett. I think there might be like a couple of second delay there.
Okay.
But yes, I like to talk about what, yes, about what causes dry hair. And one of the main topics or the most uh, like most of my clients have it for me is like, well, in my opinion, the number one issue with dry hair. That's the number one issue that most of my new clients have. It's like, I have dry hair, my hair is feeling brittle, it's breaking, and they're doing everything they have to do, but they can't figure out what it is.
Mhm.
And one thing that I always do, and when I started, is I always like to ask the question, why? So let's say Scarlett will come in, and let's
Mhm.
say Monique comes in, and everybody else comes in, and they're complaining about the same thing, and I'm asking myself, but why? I was taught um, from this academy, from that academy, certain things, but no one ever spoke about why is the hair dry and brittle, or why is my crown area drier than any other area? And I always asked why? And finally, I figured it out. It was because of air drying.
Air drying.
Yes, yes. Air drying is the number one cause of dry hair.
Mm.
Yes. And I when I tell my clients, I'd say, you know what? Heat is good. And everybody's in shock. What? Heat is good? I'm just like, yes. Heat, guys, heat is good because that's the only way to dry your hair is by using heat.
Yes.
So so now, Scarlett, we're asking, okay, but what type of heat? Great. We're talking about diffusing heat. We're talking about hooded dryer heat. Yes,
I
exactly.
brought props this time, guys.
That's right. That's right. The diffuser. That's the way to dry your hair, guys. Air drying is the number one cause of dry, brittle, thinning hair. And let me say that, we always been hearing this phrase, and I spoke about that before, Scarlett, that
Mhm.
I think it's been embedded in our psyche now, like wash and go.
Yeah. No, it's not wash and go, you guys.
No, 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 no. It's wash, dry, and go.
Right. And so,
Yes, because uh-huh.
well, I was gonna say, like, so a lot of people, it's kind of like counterintuitive because they were always told that air drying was the best way to dry their hair, whereas using a blow dryer or some sort of heat was going to be more drying to the hair. So, like, since this is something that you've noticed with your clients, um, like, how did you pinpoint, like, how did you come to that conclusion?
Well, I would see the same texture come in, and at times, that certain crown area was healthy. And then I'll see somebody else with the same texture and it wasn't. And I will always ask questions and ask questions. And they will ask me, but why? And I couldn't tell them, so I kind of you know what? I don't even remember when it happened. I can't tell
It
you,
was
like
like there's just
it
something
just
clicked
happened.
and
I'm
like
like,
a
oh,
common
it's
denominator.
just air drying.
Yeah. So you just sort of, it was just like something that you noticed that they all had in common, and you're like, I think I understand why.
Yes, yes. And I think, you know what, if I recall, I'm always trying to, I can't, I'm not going to remember, but I think it was one time when somebody came from Florida and she said that she air dries.
Hmm.
And I said, oh, that's amazing. And then her hair is actually, is doing very well. So then I thought about the weather, and she says, yeah, I'm out a lot. So I say, wow, she air dries, and you air dry here, but then her hair is healthy and she's in the heat, it's hot, so
Right.
it probably dries quickly, Florida. So, one time I just put it together and I'm like, you know what? I think it's heat, and then I started advising my clients, let's try heat, try diffusing. And especially to those that came in and were not diffusing or using her the dryer, then I kind of, noticed that they were coming in with that dry hair. And those that were using the dryer will come in with their hair a little bit more healthier. And we
Right.
know that healthy hair leads to everything else.
Yes. It's like your day is just so much better when your hair is healthy and it looks good, right? So I just
Yes,
wanted
yes, yes,
to,
absolutely.
I think, like, I actually was able to do some research, and there is a study, and I have a blog post on my website,
Okay.
wondercurl.com, where the researchers actually tested strands of hair that were air dried over strands of hair that might have been blow dried for like 15-20 minutes. Now, they don't tell you what kind of hair it was, but the findings were very interesting because they found that while hair that was blow dried, maybe for like 15-20 minutes, not extreme heat, because obviously we know that that can boil the hair, they said that they saw some lifting of the cuticle, but
Correct.
with hair that was not blow dried, hair that was air dried. They found that with the innermost layer of the hair, and I forget the name that they use, but it's the part of the hair, it kind of like holds all the strands together. And they found that there was damage to that part. So it essentially
Right.
weakens the hair over
Okay.
time.
Was it the cortex?
I think the cortex is part of it. It was kind of like CTM or something like that. Like I'm gonna have to. I just literally wrote about it in a blog post,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
can't remember the name, but I think,
Right.
but it is like the cortex membrane something. Yes.
Okay.
There's a
Okay.
little bit of a delay
Yeah.
with where Joe is.
Yes. No, I'm sorry because I know we gotta. Yeah. 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 There is a delay. There is a delay.
Yeah.
I see that from air drying, the porosity level of the hair is lower, and this is where you get like, oh, my hair is 4A over here, 4B, 3C. There's always like a differentiation in
Mm.
hair texture according to the location of the hair. Where the crown area, we feel that it's like kind of the tightest and the driest, and it's
Yes,
because of
it
that.
is.
Hmm.
This part of
Hmm.
my hair is definitely the tightest.
Right, and even using heat, Scarlett. Even while I know you're that's what you do most of the time, you still might feel slightly little bit of a lower porosity level there because sometimes it's difficult to dry 100%. Especially when you have such dense hair like yourself.
Mhm.
It takes a long time, and it's. I mean, we're not looking for perfection here. We're not looking for 100% health, although that's fine to look for it. But when you get to a certain point, that's good enough at times because we do know we have to deal with life
Right.
situations, and sometimes we don't have 50 minutes or an hour to drive. But the porosity level is definitely a lot lower, and that's where the hair is not absorbing as much. So if it's not
Right.
absorbing, then it's getting unhealthier as time goes on. Then if it gets unhealthier, it gets thinner. Then if it gets thinner, it starts breaking, and then that's when you start losing your length, and it just becomes
Mhm.
a hard time washing, detangling, applying products. You're like, it doesn't take here. Yeah, water is doing that to you guys. Water.
Right.
So please, please dry your hair. I wish you guys take my advice for it. You will not regret it. It's the number one thing out there, and you'll see your overall texture changes.
It does.
Overall,
It really does. And so we have a few questions. So the
okay.
first question, does this reflect on tightly coiled kinked hair? Will diffusing weekly cause interlocking strands and tangles?
Does it say the last part again?
Will diffusing cause like the strands to lock and I guess getting the single strand knots and tangles?
No, 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 not at all. Because as you diffuse, your porosity level is going to increase to its normality, whatever that might be for you. Whatever your porosity level is, your normal porosity level, that is where that's your goal. And
Yeah.
in order to get to that goal, because that's once you get to your normal porosity level, you have reached the maximum, say, healthiness of your hair, right? And
Right.
then that's your goal. Your goal is to achieve your normal porosity level, whatever that is. And in order to get there, one of the top um, methods is diffusing. So now, if you're diffusing and your porosity level is higher to where it's maximum to yours, then you're looking at a softer hair strand.
Mhm.
You're looking at a more moisturized, hydrated hair strand. And if that happens, it won't interlock, because what it interlock if it's dry and brittle. That's
Right.
when it interlocks, and that's when you get that those fairy knots that you're pulling, and then it's breaking, and it's a constant breaking. So drying increases it. It absorbs more product. It absorbs that moisturizer, that conditioner you're applying to
Right.
it is absorbing. It's just sucking everything in. The more open it is, that's why they tell you, hey, use warm water. Use heat for
Hmm.
your conditioners. Why? So the hair could absorb the product.
Right. And I also, again, I brought my, I wanted to show you guys. So this is what I sit under. Where's my camera? Right here. I got this for like, this is
Yeah,
my
we see
hooded
it.
hair dryer that I do have. So whenever like yesterday, I washed my hair, and this is exactly what I use. I sat under this for about 45 minutes to an hour. I usually watch something or I'm working with my laptop, so I kind of like lose track of time. And then the parts of my hair that doesn't dry, then I go back over it with my diffuser. So for the question about the coily hair and its linking, it's not going to cause your hair to tangle, because when you use a diffuser, it's actually diffusing the air, so it's not going to be as the same way. Like if you didn't have the diffuser, then now you're gonna notice your hair is going to be flying all over the place. That's going to cause your hair to tangle and frizz. But when you put a diffuser, this thing on it, this is going to help that air to be dispersed more evenly, and it's
Hmm.
going to be more gentle. And using a hooded dryer,
Okay,
especially I would say
correct.
for type 4, for the curlier, the kinkier your curls are, the better your hair will look with a hooded dryer. So if you can, and not everyone gets to have the space to store one, because you see it is big and bulky. I say if you can get one, you should invest
Right.
in one. If you cannot, they have the soft bonnet ones. I have not used them personally, so I don't know how well they work. I like to use the hooded one, the hard bonnet, but there's definitely options out there that are affordable that you can use. And so someone asked,
Yes, yes.
can you please describe air drying?
Okay, so air drying is just basically washing your hair, applying your product, maybe using a microfiber towel to remove some of the excess water, and just going about your day, whatever that might be, work, house, or even going to sleep, which is the worst.
Mm,
And that's just letting the air dry your hair without any um,
kind of
tool,
like
without
artificial
using any
heat.
tools.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, I've also heard like natural, like drying your hair naturally
Hmm.
is another term that I've heard. Not as often, but as something like, oh, I just let my hair
Hmm.
dry natural. Um, Something else that people say. So basically, you're just letting you're
Right.
putting your product in and just that's it. You're not using any kind of heat to speed the process along. And what happens when you are doing that is that now your hair is
Co-
in this weakened
correct.
state. Yeah. So when your hair is wet, it's weak, especially curly hair.
That's correct. That's correct. Because water has the ability to break down almost everything that it sits on for a long period of time, if you think about it. I mean, I like to break things down a little bit so we could have an idea of what water has the ability to do. So, if it lays on wood, if it lays on metal, if it sits on material, fabric, plastic, glass, anything for a long period of time, water is going to break that whatever it is going to break it
Right.
down. Some things take a day or hours, some things takes years, decades or century, but whatever it is, water is gonna do it to you. So we do need water. Water is life. Without it, we wouldn't be here. So water is life, but too much of it is not good in certain situations. and
Right.
and and with hair, it's the number one reason, guys, why your hair is dry and brittle. And think about what it does to your hair, right? If I mention this, let me give you another quick example. Let's take the same towel that you use to dry your hair. If you wet this towel and say, you know what, I'm gonna let it air dry once a week, right? So you wash this towel, you hang it up, and it's dry. You come back the next day and it's dry. I mean, it's wet. Then you come back the next day and it's dry. It already feels different. Then
Mm-hmm.
putting it in the dryer and putting it on delicate and taking it out, it's soft, it's warm. You're like, oh, okay, great. So if you
Right.
do this to this towel the same amount of time that you do to your hair, guess what? That towel is gonna get drier and drier, more brittle. One day it's just gonna you're gonna pull it and it's gonna rip. That's the
Right.
same thing that happens to our hair. So I think, totally right. Imagine if you do that to the towel and you dry it every time on your dryer, it'll stay soft.
Yeah.
The fortunate thing is that hair always grows. So that's the best thing. A towel never grows.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you can always cut off the dry parts and start anew with your hair, right?
Yep.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
okay, you just noticed this on the same textured hair. You said where the middle dries faster, but on hair that is very quick to shrink and a person is interested in length. How does exposing the ends and diffusing weekly impact hair that is tight and quick to shrink?
Okay. So we have to know and understand our own texture, our own hair. And yes, length is something that we're always looking for, and it's
Mm-hmm.
something that we want. So we try to manipulate our hair in any way in order for it to look longer. But what I've noticed with, let's say, the four type hair, when it's dry and brittle, it actually shrinks.
It shrinks
It
even more.
actually looks tighter because it shrinks even more because it has no flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
You lose the flexibility. It becomes harder, right? So it kind of shrinks. Now with the threes and the twos, I noticed that air drying slightly elongates their curls because it loses its elasticity, and it's a heavier hair, so it's pulling down. So it loses. You see it. If you
Right.
see dry threes, they look a little longer, but once they start diffusing and it gets its elasticity, that now it gets a little bit more tighter, right? So now they get a tighter
Like
curl.
more
With the
defined.
four types, it gets a little tighter when it gets fine. Yes, yes. And then as it gets hydrated, of course, now you got that flexibility. Yes, it'll get a little tighter maybe, but then it starts loosening as the weight. Because think about, um, dry hair has no weight. Hydrated hair does. So
True.
now you're looking at a hair that's more hydrated, it has more weight on it. So now it's gonna hang a little bit. Now you're gonna get that length that's coming out, but it takes time. And we know that with the type four, it takes a little bit more time to know what is the length.
Right. And again, like if you're sitting under a hooded hair dryer, I find that my curls are usually more defined. My hair is shinier. I have a lot less frizzing, and I don't get as much shrinkage with my hair when I'm sitting under the hooded dryer versus the few times I have ever air dried my hair. And you guys, it took me like 8 hours. I timed it once. I started at noon, and it wasn't until like 8 p.m. that my hair was finally dry.
Wow.
Like that's 8 hours of my hair in this, and I'm like, I don't know how people do this all day.
Wow.
If I don't have any product in my hair dries in like 10 minutes. But it's rare that I ever just let my hair air dry without any products in
Right,
it.
right,
Um, but yeah, I think we have been told so many times about that air drying, and we want to, when we say like you want to use the heat, we are talking about like a gentle, radiant, evenly dispersed heat, not flat irons, not your blow dryer nozzle on high. Those are things
right,
that will damage the cuticle,
right,
definitely. But this is like just
right.
overall like a nice, gentle heat. Like I remember when I was younger, when I wore my hair straight, when I blow dried my hair never got shiny. But if I sat under the dryer and did a doobie, my hair always was like smoother, softer. It had more bounce and flow.
Yes,
And I also didn't have as much split ends.
right, 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 right. It's amazing how, I would also say, you know what, if you look at a hooded dryer, I said it resembles a huge diffuser.
Yes. Yeah, let me so we do have some questions
Yeah.
about
And
the hair. So someone says the study is not on Afro hair because it talks about blow drying daily. Black people don't wash daily. I mean, that is a very valid point, and most likely it was probably on someone like white people hair, because let's be honest, Black folks, brown folks usually aren't included in studies. So but the results are still very impactful, especially if you consider that Afro hair tends to be a lot more delicate than straight
yes,
hair. And especially if your hair is thin, then you have much less hair to damage, right? Like you have less to work
correct,
with. Someone like me, if I damage my hair, it's going to take you a while to notice because I have a lot of it. But a lot
correct.
of Afro hair tends to look thick, but it's mostly because it's dense. It's like it's very tight.
Yes, yes. Scarlett, I've seen and I've seen it from experience. Um, type 4, with no movement at all. It's just it has no movement at all, right?
Right.
And what I hear mostly is, oh, I do twist outs, which, okay, no problem, but they air dry the twist outs. Well, I'll do this protective styles, but they air dry. They never get under the dryer with it. And as soon as I tell them, and they say, I was like, go ahead, dry it. And I see them 4 or 6 months later, it's a different set of hair. It has
Yeah.
movement. They're going like this, and they're like, oh, look, Joe, look, you look at my hair. Or their curls dropped to where they look like yours. And they're like, you know what? Just give me this shape. I love it. I can't believe my hair is doing this. And I would
Mm-hmm.
like to go into the set, and it's just amazing how we been. I hate to call it brainwashed, but we absolutely been brainwashed with this wash and go thing.
Yeah, we definitely
It's
we have, and I think with the whole no heat challenges, I think that's also,
yes, yes,
yeah. So I wanted to, so I
yes.
know we had some questions about the dryer. So I'm going to step back because I want to show you. And someone asked,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
like, what's the best dryer? Um,
Right,
I just go for what I can afford. But generally, this is kind of like your,
right.
I want to show you the
Look at that.
opening. So you see, like most of the heat is going to come from the
Yes,
center, but then it's also going to disperse where
correct.
all of these holes are. So you want to
Yes,
find a dryer that has as many holes around it as possible. And I know the professional
yes,
ones kind of look like this orb that goes directly over your head. So that's going to give you more heat. more area to dry. This one only goes like this one will go up to here for me, so the ends of my hair don't get dry. And that's why I use my diffuser. But I just wanted to show you this is kind of like why you want the hooded dryer.
Right. You know what's called it? If we were to ask the viewers, what is the section of your hair that takes the longest to dry? What would you say is yours, Scarlett?
I mean, if I'm not sitting under the dryer, most likely it's going to be the center part of my hair because this is the densest part of my hair. When I used
Right.
to get it thinned out because it was so dense and I had so much bulk, but I decided not to do that anymore. But this is the low
Okay.
porosity part of my hair. So I have to apply more product to this part. I have to I have to work a little bit harder to
Right.
smooth the cuticle down because the center part of my hair, the crown, is the densest low porosity part of my hair. And it doesn't
Right. And
curl.
and and the one of the main reasons is because right, right. And one of the main reasons is because it takes the longest to dry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I sit under the dryer because that part gets dry
You
faster
know?
because most of the heat is here. But without it just
Hmm.
um so oh, and also just wanted to show you this is um a
Yep.
universal silicone. I got this from Sally Beauty Supply for like $8, I think. So this is definitely not expensive and something you can take with you because you see it collapses. So this is great for traveling. Um, so someone asked
Right.
if you don't have a diffuser or hair dryer readily available, what options? So what should they do? Like they ordered their dryer, but they still have to
Well,
wash their hair. What should they do in the meantime?
I mean, you just have to find a way. They have the one that you mentioned that's like a bonnet. You attach it to your blow dryer. You have to have some type of tool to dry your hair. I have um supporters, kind of followers from other countries where they can afford these tools, and then they're in hot areas. Let's say Panama, Dominican Republic, and my advice is, hey, get in front of a fan. If it's
Yeah.
so hot over there, just get in front of a fan. And you know what? They've been doing that, and they write to me back a couple of months later, like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. My hair is doing a lot better, just from drying it, just from not." And look at that, they in a tropical
Right.
environment, and
That's true.
still air drying causes that, because it depends where they are, where they're working at.
Yeah.
Maybe
Especially if it's humid.
they're inside while the hair is air drying. They're not outside where it'll dry a lot quicker. It's
Yeah.
it's all about, I say, try not to spend too much time. And hey, listen, guys, I'm not a curl, what do I call it, extremist, a hair
Mm-mm.
extremist. Listen, it's not 100% dry. You could do 80%. It's just creating a balance between air drying and diffusing. You want to diffuse or use a hair dryer most of the time. So dry most
Right.
of your hair most of the time. Another thing that I wanted to mention, Scarlett, and I'm sorry to
Mhm.
take all the time, but if water does that to any material, if water dries any material, anything, even our hair, what would it be doing to our scalp while because remember, our scalp is the last thing to dry. So
Yeah.
what is it doing to our scalp, right? And then, I mean, we might have product on it, but still, it's water. There's something, So think about all that time that spends on our, and then we're talking about, oh, it's itching, it's dry, I have
Mhm.
buildup. Guys, most of that has to do with air drying.
Yeah. Because
Because it's amazing the feedback that I get from my clients who come back and say, you know what, Joe, even my scalp feels better. I'm like, well, congratulations, guys. Or if I help you, if it worked, great.
Right. And I also wanted to, like, when you said using a fan, I'm like, now that it's getting colder, if you have a forced air heater, if you have a space heater,
Okay,
that's something you
okay.
might want to sit in front of your space heater. I've done that before. I'm like, I just need to hurry up. And when my hair was shorter, when my hair was much shorter, I used to, and it was summertime, I would just drive with the windows rolled down. It's
That's a
still
good.
like
Hey, whatever works.
it worked, but I have to say I get my best hair period when I sit under a hooded dryer. Like hands down, whether
Mm,
I'm using any other kind of way to dry my hair, like sitting under a hooded dryer gives me the most defined, softest, and like you said, it helps my hair to absorb products even more. So, I want to move on because there's a good question that I want us to spend some time on. Um, they say, why does my hair get so dry when I try to dry it with a blow dryer or hooded dryer, even though I try to use all the precautions y'all mentioned? Maybe I need a natural heat protectant. Do you know of a good heat protectant that doesn't contain any harsh chemicals or silicones? Well, first of all, I'm going to say you should be using Wonder Curl products and you're not going to have dry hair.
That's right. Absolutely right. Some natural Wonder Curl products. Can't go
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, and so you know what? For the last 14 minutes, because we spent a lot of time talking about
Yes.
air drying, what about products? Because there are
Yeah.
products that are drying to the
Thank
hair.
you. Yes. Yes, thank you. And everyone that knows when they see me on my live on Instagram or Facebook and someone mentions a certain products, those that are used to seeing me were like, oh no, don't say that. Joe's gonna go on a rant. Be-
Yeah. You
Oh my
mentioned
goodness.
you
The
mentioned
the
one particular
second
brand.
mo
Go ahead, go ahead. Name names.
the second product, yes. And you know what's amazing too, after I name the names, there's also actually other brands that promote wash and go, but let's go back to the name. That's called Eco Gel. Eco Gel Extreme, LA, whatever, all
Yeah,
Gorilla, all that
those
stuff, all that
stylers.
I mean, and you guys know it's drying. Yeah, they know. You know that it's dry, but you still keep on using it because it defines your hair and it traps you. It keeps you in this ongoing cycle of I can't find anything else that defines it, so I use the eco gel, and then you know it's drying, but you can't get out of it. And these guys take a hit, you know, see your hair not defined for a month or two, and believe me, you could use Scarlett's gel, you could use other gels. They're gonna do the same job that Eco is doing right now, but you gotta let it go. they
Yeah.
that gel is just drying, making your hair dry, brittle, and even your edges.
Mm-hmm.
You could just remove the hair from your edges.
Yeah. And I
It's
will.
I can't believe that we are buying something. I'm sorry, I can't believe that we're buying something that's harming us. Think about it. You spending money on something that's harming you.
Right. And I wanted to say, like, with those gels that you mentioned, if you turn and look at the ingredient list, the first three ingredients are water, carbomer, and PVP. Where's my right? So these are three very cheap ingredients. We know what water is. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So carbomer is a thickener. It's a thickening agent. So that's how you get that gel look. And then PVP is the drying ingredient. And PVP, I forget what it stands for, but that's basically what gives your gels that
Oh God.
stickiness. That's what gives you that stickiness. That's what gives you that clumping and that hold. But that's also
Right.
what makes your hair hard. And it's also what is drying your hair. So basically, those kinds of gels, anything with PVP, it's going to give you definition, but it's also going to like wick, take that moisture out of your hair. It's actually pulling moisture from your hair.
Mm. Oh gosh.
You're like,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Talk,
Tony.
talk, tell us that. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's just, oh my gosh, it sucks it out of you. It just sucks off any little, you know what, that step that you're taking forward, deep conditioning and putting all this product is just taking it right back from you. It's like, give me that, it's mine.
Yeah,
And it's not letting you take that step forward. There's people out there, Scarlett, that have been natural for years and still have not seen their natural texture.
it's true. Yeah,
Because it's the air drying and then it's the eco at the same time. That combination right there.
yeah. There's a lot of,
Oof.
and I mean, and I don't want to name names of products because there are a lot of products that are being sold on the market that I've tested them out because I always want to see, okay, how does this product work against mine? Because,
Okay.
I will say, like, I can get up to 5 days on my wash and goes without having to re-wet my hair. And
Wow.
most people will get 2, maybe 3 days if they're lucky. But once you start using the Wonder Curl products, people are like, wow, I got so many days. And that's because when I tried other products, I was like, you look at their ingredients list and like the oils and butters are usually way lower in oil and butter. Those are the product that's going to seal that moisture into your hair. So when you're
Right.
looking at ingredients, you want to make sure like it's the natural oils and butters.
Right. Right.
Silicone, someone asked about silicones. They're not, silicones aren't bad. I'm not against silicones, but if you use silicones, then you have to clarify your hair, right?
Right. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I was speaking to a chemist and we forgot to touch that subject. And she said, remember, remind me to touch that subject. And, that's something that I guess maybe some other time we could get into. I do not have a lot of information on silicone because she did say not all silicones are bad.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, so just keep in mind that though, but you don't want to use a product that is that silicone is probably dominating in that product because it has some slippage or anything like that. It just sits on your hair and does
Mhm.
nothing for you.
Right.
But then again, I don't have too much information, and I like to be honest. I'm not gonna elaborate too much on that because I'm not. Once she told me that, I was like, okay, you know what? I don't. I need to know more.
Right. Like I said, like with silicones, like it's great because it does give you that shine. It helps to close, like seal the cuticle, but it's not water soluble the way your natural oils and butters are. And I think that's where we have to remember if you are going to use a silicone based product, that you will have to shampoo your hair, or else you are not going to get that silicone out of your hair. And then what's happening now is that the silicone has now sealed your hair. So you're not going to get more moisture. It's like the same with product buildup, right? Like you're
Right.
not going to get more moisture into your hair. So you always, if you're not using a water soluble, meaning products that will dissolve easily in water, like Wonder Curl does. You want water soluble products.
Right. Correct, correct. And you know what? And I didn't know that you did mention, and I'll say it as well, shampooing is important, to remove certain and products that you use and environmental stuff, dirt, oils. I mean, we're walking around the street with the hair, full of products, so we are absorbing, environmental,
Mhm.
particles out there. So you do need to shampoo, to remove that stuff. So it's okay to shampoo, just like it's okay to cold wash. Some people have different situations going on with their scalp, so they do need to shampoo. That doesn't mean that it's gonna dry your hair.
Yeah.
Some people do need it.
Yeah. I shampoo every other week. I wash my hair once a week. I shampoo and deep condition every other week. So every time I shampoo, I always follow up, because I want to make sure that I remove any, like you said, any toxins from the atmosphere. I'm like, we don't live on a mountain in a pristine area. If you are tuning in from a mountain, I am so jealous because microplastics. We
For
are
real. I was like
living.
Vermont or something.
Right, right. But even they even found microplastics on the French Alps where there was like nobody around for miles. So microplastics are everywhere. So remember, guys, like you need to also be shampooing, removing any product buildup that you have, and starting with a fresh scalp. Like we also learned from Dr. Carey in our scalp maintenance. The first thing she said was clean your scalp, shampoo your scalp. And it's the same for your
Right.
hair.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So that means also that there are some, right, and that also means that there are some, um, what we'll call some ingredients that could be slightly harmful, or I mean, are in some of our products. It's almost impossible to have something pure. We might do need certain ingredients to achieve um, things with our own lives, especially with hair. So, it doesn't have sulfate, but it does have something that's related to sulfate that cleans our hair, guys.
Yeah,
Again, I don't want to tell people, listen, don't do this, don't do that, like don't air dry, don't do this. There's always something that we need that might not be good for us, but not anything to the extreme, just like not air drying so much, or not using clarifying shampoos every week. We're not going to do that. Just be
yeah,
keep it in mind that you not to do certain things too much.
right, right. And what they said with the air drying, it's like you don't even have to like me. I like to dry my hair 100%. I don't like to have any damp hair on me. But someone you might air dry for a couple of hours and then go with your blow dryer to finish it off, or vice versa. So that's the thing. It's like you don't have. The idea is not to keep your hair wet for a long period of time. So I have
Right.
one last question.
Yes.
We only have time for one last question.
Okay.
So I wanted to, when drying with a diffuser, is the hair loose or in twists? Is one better than the other for 4C hair? So I'll let you go and I'll tell you my thoughts.
Well, um, I say if you leave it as it is and leave it as your own texture, you get to love your texture, you get to see it, and just get the full effect of who you are. Let it do its thing. If you want to manipulate it once in a while for style, that's fine, but not as a routine. You're still manipulating it, and it's that's my opinion. Just let it be, and enjoy it. It'll take its course.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should learn to appreciate how our hair curls. Absolutely. But I would say, like, if you like doing twist outs,
Hmm.
I would say especially twist outs to use a diffuser, because when you have your hair in twist, it's going to take even longer to dry.
Yes.
Right. So if you wear your hair loose, it's gonna dry in a few hours. But if you have your hair in twist, it might dry overnight or a few days. Like for me, when I do a twist
Oof.
out, I will sit under a dryer for an hour and then I leave my twist in for 3 more days before it's completely fully dry and ready to come out. That's I don't
Wow.
do that often. But so just remember,
Wow.
twist outs, your twists are going to be wet even longer. That's like if you put your hair in a bun when it's wet, it's not going to dry as fast.
Right. Correct. Or sleeping with your hair wet, or a bun, or pineapples, or ponytails. I mean, we're talking about hours and hours and hours,
Yeah,
and that's not the way to go. And listen, if for you guys that are doing twist outs and are air drying for them, you know what? Why don't you continue doing your twist outs, but now dry them and
yeah.
see how that changes by itself, since you're already used to wearing your hair this way and you're comfortable and like that. But you know what? Okay, fine. Do your twist outs, but now get under the hooded dryer and let's see that change from air drying.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say compare it and see how you feel. But I think it's also going to be one of those things that it's not going to be. It may not happen overnight. You're going to have to try it out for a few
Right.
months and see the difference. I had someone tell me from
Yes.
listening to my IG lives. She's like, "Oh my God, Scarlett, I started using a hooded dryer, and my hair feels so much smoother and has so much more moisture."
Right.
So
Right. I love that. I love those stories. I love
yeah.
the stories.
All right. One last question. This is going to be quick. Do you have any dry shampoo that you recommend for braids?
Wow. No. I
No.
don't know of any. I don't use any. No. Sorry. Do you know
Sorry.
of any, Scarlett?
No, I don't use a dry shampoo. I feel like once my hair is dry without like no, I've never used a dry shampoo. I don't think I would. I don't think it's something that I would want. Like because I need more water, less dry.
Yeah. I
But I wanted to get that
yeah, I
question
don't know. I would have
before
to
we
look
made
into
off.
that too. And yeah,
Yeah.
I have to look
So,
into that.
um, really quickly, someone from Meraki 9, can you moisture train natural hair? You know what? You can ask that question at the next talk because right after this, we're going to be talking with Yesenia about how to get moisture into your hair. So she can answer that question because today is all about why your hair is dry. We're following
Okay.
up with getting moisture. So, Joe, really quickly,
Right.
how can people find you if they want more information?
Sure. Thank you, Scarlett. Yes, you could. I'm on Instagram at Joe Miguel. It's right there. Also Facebook as well. I'm based in New Jersey. I have now two salons. I rebranded. The Angel Salon is now Joe Miguel Salon in Elizabeth, and I just opened up my other location in Union as well. So I would love to have you back, Scarlett. Visit me in Union. So
I
I'm there in
should.
Union now as well, 2 days a week until I fully transition.
Okay. I do need a trim, and I'm like I was debating if I should get my hair trimmed before I leave for Florida or when I get back. I don't know. We'll
Okay.
talk.
Okay.
All right. So thank you so much, Joe, for sharing your
Okay, you
knowledge.
got it. You got it.
So thank you guys. Thank you so much, Joe. We
Thank you,
appreciate you.
guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Good luck, everybody.
Anytime.
Bye bye.
Thanks. All right. Oh God, I did not mean to cut Joe off that way, but thank you guys. So you guys had some really great questions. I hope that hearing about air drying helped you to realize some of the things that we're doing, especially because we think that air drying is going to be the best way to dry our hair, and then we find out no, it's really not. So I would recommend if you are skeptical to try it. Try sitting under a dryer and see the difference. Like I know I have felt the difference in my hair, and I also recommend you can get a nice little diffuser if you already have a blow dryer. And, you know, just invest whatever amount of money you can. This isn't about going out and buying the Dyson $400 blow dryer that we all wish we could have, right? But no, I have a $20 blow dryer that works just well. Okay, so if you found this information to be valuable, then you can purchase a lifetime access for only $24 to this and all the videos from the Fall Healthy Hair Summit. During the summit, we are offering a 20% off discount from the regular price. So you will get access to all the 7 talks from the spring summit, plus 2 bonus videos. And you're going to get all the talks from this week, from today, as well as the talks from the previous summit. So you just head on over to healthyhairsummit.com. And if you guys are sticking with us for the next talk, please stay tuned. We'll be live with Yesenia, also known as the texturologist. I need to drink some water and get ready. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.